Good morning. Is it cold enough outside? But it is much warmer here in this room with Father Jenkins.
Yes.
Every place you come in, you bring joy and warmth. So great to have you here.
Glad to be here. So awesome. Thank y'all for having me here.
Good morning. I'm Mike Zafarowski, and it gives me great joy to welcome Father Jenkins to the Church of the Holy Spirit in our 132nd session of Faith at Work since we started it back in the fall of 2009. But before introducing Father Jenkins, as we normally do, we start with our prayer. Father Luke.
Thank you, Mike. Let us pray. Heavenly Creator, thank you for the earth's forests on our lakesides and for the vibrant human communities thriving in our city. Great gatherings of love, energy, and labor are especially important to tend and nourish a healthy world for all humanity. We are thankful for the presence of Contrell, Jenkins, and for the joy, care, enthusiasm, and thoughtfulness he has brought to Chicago's Austin neighborhood. His ministry at Stone Community Development has enabled many of your divine possibilities to become personal realities. Academic achievement, fine arts, financial literacy, and medical attention are part of a well-lived life. The collaborations we learn on earth are but a tiny foretaste of the great collaboration promised in the gospel, the divine collaboration, the one that Jesus calls the kingdom of heaven. Thank you, Pastor Jenkins, for sharing your presence with us this morning. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father Luke. Father Jenkins, as you know, we typically discuss three things: your life story, your faith journey, and how you bring faith to work. And it's going to be very natural because your life actually is faith at work. We've had so many speakers of all different backgrounds. God does his work through many different professions, and all the speakers have their unique backgrounds. And I would argue not any more unique than yours. Hopefully you read his bio, but I'll quickly go through that. Father Jenkins is a pastor in the Lively Stone Church of Chicago and also the chief executive of the Stone Community Development Corporation. Contrell has championed holistic revitalization, fostering academic enrichment, arts programs, and financial literacy, and as well as health services, and very importantly, helping people in their faith journeys. He's a graduate of the Living World School of Ministry and the John Maxwell Certified Leadership Coach. And in all he does, he exemplifies the belief that better is always possible. And I can go on for a long time, but I thought it just best to start with our discussion. We're going to go for about 35 or 40 minutes. Then we'll take some, David, we'll take some questions from the group and also get some questions from many people watching on Livestream.
All righty.
So again, with much more ado, let's welcome Father Jenkins. Welcome, and maybe we'll start with your early life.
Yes, all right. First, before I speak anything, let me thank Mike for this invitation to be here to come and share with you all. It is an honor. I'm so excited and enthused to be here. And those of you who are watching virtually, I'm just grateful for this opportunity, this new year, and want to thank Church of the Holy Spirit as well, and Father for having me here. I'm excited. So, my early child life began, in church all my life. Like that's my life. Like for real. My dad was a pastor when I was born. He was already pastoring, and so as a child, all I remember is being in church. Actually, probably around the age of 4, Mike, I ain't never told you this, Mike, but at the age of 4, I actually started singing. And I used to sing sermonics solos. My dad sang, and so I would get up and sing and mimic him and try to sing like him. And so before he would preach.
Were those things recorded? Love to see videos of that, yeah.
I don't know if they record, but I don't have no recording of it. But yeah, I remember that. I haven't actually thought about that in a while till I was preparing this. And that popped in my spirit. Like, man, you know you used to sing? And I hated it. Yeah, they used to have me to sing. And so during my childhood, I was always in church singing and things of that sort. And grew up in the faith, watching my dad. I have 5 brothers, 4 sisters. All 4 of my other brothers were and still are ministers and pastors to this day. And so that's kind of like my whole life, especially as a child, just church. I was in church probably 5 to 6 days a week out of the 7 days a week. It was everything.
Now, you're still musicians today, right? I mean, you've been a musician all your life?
Yeah, so the story behind that is I was singing.
Yep.
And probably about 8 or 9, we got a new musician at our church. I'll never forget it. And I heard him playing the organ then. And it was like a sound that caught my ear that said, that's what I want to do. When I heard that, I was like, that's what I want to do. Now, it took me years before I started learning because I was singing. I wanted to learn so bad. Here's something funny. I wanted to learn how to play the organ so bad. Dad would not let me get lessons because he wanted my sisters to get lessons because he said, I want to send your sister. Women are more faithful. Men gonna try to make a career out of it. And I want somebody to be here at the church all the time to play for them. It was like that. And so it was funny. I could not learn how to play, so I prayed to God. I said, Lord, this gift that everybody said that I could sing, take it out of my mouth and put it in my hands. I prayed the prayer. And I turned about 13, 14 years old. After my dad saw that my sister, she went to school for 5 years and she probably learned about 4 songs.
Hopefully she's not watching. She's not going to like you.
Finally let me take organ lessons and I started playing piano and organ, and that's actually how I am the musician I am today. I started playing organ and that has been my whole life. And then as I started playing music, actually I stopped singing and started playing organ. Then when I got in my 20s and started teaching choirs and working with singers, I said, Lord, can I have my voice back that I actually take? So that I could teach other people, so yeah.
By the way, I encourage you to look at the website. I mean, Father Jenkins does a great job, great preacher, wonderful sermons, but also brings in music and sings from time to time. So again, just wonderful and inspiring to watch him do that. And where'd you go to high school and then college afterwards? Maybe quickly through the background.
Yeah, high school, I went to Walter Lutheran High School. I've been in Lutheran school since probably about after I got kicked out of public school. Yeah, my dad said, "Oh, this is not for you. Just the environment and the neighborhood." So he took me out of there. And 5th grade, I went to Bethel Lutheran. Then I went 4 years in Walter Lutheran. That's in Melrose Park, Illinois. And then after that, I went to a bunch of colleges. I went to Harold Washington College. First started there. Then I went to the American Conservatory of Music. Once I got there, ended up dropping off because I started working and doing gigs and all like that. And then, you know, the rest was history. I started traveling the world and touring, doing music.
Before going through your faith journey, man, you did say your favorite role, your favorite activity, your passion is your wife, Lakeisha, and your 3 daughters.
Yeah.
So maybe just tell us about your family a little bit.
I met my wife at church, of course. That's my whole life. Met her at a musical concert, and she was singing in the choir, and I spotted her. And I was like, oh, my God. That's it right there. Right there. So
Did she think the same, or?
No, definitely not. Especially being a musician, she's like, no. So I really had to put faith in work and to get to make that happen. But man, it's been an amazing journey. I met her. We dated for about 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Then we got married. We've been married now for 22 years. And we had I had a daughter, not by her. And then we had our first daughter. But my first two daughters are not by her. But the last one is by her. Yep.
And how old are your daughters?
My daughters is 32, 22, and 16.
Wow.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
And maybe just you can walk us through, your faith journey. Obviously, I know that your dad just is such a legend, but your own personal faith journey.
Yeah, so my faith journey, of course, being raised and groomed and breathed in church. But, as I got older, I had to learn, faith for myself, not based through the lens of my parents and what, they taught me. I began to go on my own personal journey, especially around in my teenage years. Start, of course, like I said, I grew up in Sunday school, vacation Bible school, just kind of, matriculating through what they taught us. But again, as I got in my teenage years and I started really studying the Bible and looking at it through, and faith, just trying to really find out, what I believe, and yeah, I value what my dad taught me and all like that, but, I went on a journey, and music was a major part of that, what helped shape and form my faith journey, because doing music exposed me to other stuff than just what I grew up in. I started going and playing for a lot of other churches and ministries, and that's what really got me inquisitive to just charismatic. I played for Catholic Church, I played for Methodist, so I saw a lot, and that's what started me to really, let me dig in, now for myself, not based off what they taught me. So as I started learning, started studying, man, I really grew to really love God. Let me just say, out of the experiences, out of my personal walk with God, reading the Bible, I remember very clearly, even kind of like through touring, doing music, kind of straying off that path a little bit. So when I started touring, I was touring with secular artists, and that kind of took me, kind of off of what I grew up on, right? And so during this time, all while I'm out traveling, doing this, I'm missing church on Sundays, I'm getting further away from God, and this is when I really took a turn down a negative path. But even in those moments, while I was, out touring, I never forget on Sundays when I would be laying up in the hotel, I would be thinking about church. I would be like, while I'm laying in the bed, probably hungover, honestly, I would be like, the choir getting ready to sing. I would be like, our dad about to get up to preach. So more and more I did that, more and more I learned that's not what I want to do. And this is every musician's dream, doing what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm making money, I'm traveling the world. Everything that a musician aspired to be, I was on that trajectory. And it was amazing.
And how is your relationship with your father at this point in time? Was he trying to push you back, or is he encouraging? Was he a soft voice, or maybe a more direct voice trying to?
He's a direct man. He can say it like it is. He say, Terrell, this is not in the will of God for you to be out there playing in the world. He told me many times, and I pray for you all the time. I know. I would be arguing, it's just a job, Daddy. People have secular jobs. This is my job. And like, yeah, but this ain't God's will for your life, and all like that. So I would hear that voice, even out on the road. That's what I'm saying. This when God really, really started to work on me. It was almost like close to while I'm in my hotel room, even on stage. I'm on the stage. I'll never forget. I was on stage at the United Center. They would have this big event called the Big Jam at the United Center. And this jam, R. Kelly's there. I mean, all of these artists there, Lil Bow Wow back then. All of these artists are there. I'm on the floor where Michael Jordan played. I'm like blown away, right? I'm playing piano. I see myself on the big old scoreboards. I'm like, wow. And I heard a voice say to me, this is not what I called you to do. I heard clearly. I heard it I'm like, what? No, who is, like, man, are you crazy? Do you see this? So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that voice.
So when did that maybe direct direction back to the faith, when did that, you think, take place? I see this slow voices.
It was slow.
When did you make the hard turn back to?
It was a tragic event. It was a tragic event. I wrestled with it. I started having this feeling, right? I started having what I'm sharing with you now. But then there was a moment. I was out on the road, and there were a few times. Now, I'm not a violent person. I'm not a gangbanger. I don't fight, none of that type of stuff. But there were a few times just being in this environment, we got into fights. Like after they have like an after party. Like, so you do the gig, and then the band and all the singers, we go to like a bar or whatever, and that's where we go eat and just fellowship. Well, it wasn't fellowship back. It was kind of fellowship, but yeah, different kind of fellowship. But so during this last one, I'm like, man, like this environment, is kind of bad. I start having that now. Now it's like it's bad. So one time, we was at an after party at a hotel in Detroit, and man, we got into a brawl, and it had nothing to do with me. It was just one of the band musicians was talking to a girl. It was somebody else's this other man girlfriend or whatever, and they were talking, and then they had a thing, and then next thing you know, he made a phone call, and when I was trying to run and get out of there, and the elevator opened up, it was a ton of guys jumped off the elevator and just started beating me. I thought I was going to die that day. And when God got me out of that same night, I went to the artist which I was playing for then, it was David Hollister, and I went to him and say, this is it. I'm not doing no more gigs for this, and I walked away. I said, I'm not doing no more secular music. I'm not playing no more bars, no club. I'm not knocking nobody else that do that. This is just my own personal faith journey. I had mentors, older people. One of the guys told me, he says, Trell, I do the gigs, and I go right back to my room. I don't get into that stuff. Well, I learned that I didn't have the capacity at that young age to do that. I'm not finna go back. It's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, the gig is over. I want to go out and have fun. So the best thing for me was to get out of this environment. So that's when I walked away from it. I said, this is my last gig. I'm not doing this no more. And I'm only now, at that moment, I said, I'm only going to do Christian music. And I haven't looked back since.
And when was this?
This was probably, I was 28 years old. Never forget it, 28 years old.
It's interesting, one of our previous speakers here at Kramer would say, sometimes it's easier to be, most time it's easier to do 100% versus 98%.
Yeah.
If you think you can control many things, then it is much easier to just, I'm going to do it this way, and that's the best way to keep some of those temptations that are wrong.
That's actually when I accepted my calling into the ministry. After that event, I started feeling God tugging me into the ministry.
We haven't discussed this question, but I see our friend Dave Dillon here. I asked most of the guests, most of the speakers, I said, tell me your personal relationship with God. What does that mean to you? I still remember Dave answering that question. He started crying a little bit. I think he did as well. But I'd love to, again, this is so many people answer that questions differently. So when you say you're walking with God, this is maybe just take a couple minutes and describe what is a personal relationship with Jesus, a personal relationship with God means to you.
And my personal relationship with God is everything to me, like in the literally. Like I don't know what I would be. I don't know where I would be. I don't know what I would be doing. When I think about it, it's definitely overwhelming. My walk with God is where all that I am. If there's anything that's of any value about my life, anything that's credit worthy, anything, like I owe it all to God. Like I cannot take credit for anything regarding my life.
Maybe for secular people that try to define and quantify things, and I mean, anyway, a few of us read the book through our book club, The Book of Joy, and I think Desmond Tutu used to pray, God bless him. He said up to 4 hours a day. Dalai Lama, 6 to 8 hours a day.
Wow.
So again, their faith journey is actually praying, thinking, and using that quote-unquote communications to help them direct their life, what they're going to say, what they're going to do, what they're going to prioritize. So again, just to take that concept, if you will, again, I'm personally very curious as well. When you say everything, that's everything to you, how would you be able to explain it even to a secular person, if you will?
Well,
the communications, the hearing back, and how that forms your actions.
Yeah, thank you. So if I'm explaining this to a secular person, I'm gonna explain it from a perspective of a natural relationship. Like if I really, how we, have gotten closer. Like I've spent time with you. I spent time with you. I've learned about you, and that time has shaped our relationship. So I would, or use a significant other, a wife, I would use that to explain it. I talk to God every day, like every day, all day, and so. New
York Times would say that there's people walking with their invisible buddy next to them, poking fun at that. If somebody just laughs and say, come on, Contrell, that can't be true, just, how would you continue with that discussion?
No, I would say it is true. I would say, like, so for me, like me communicating with if you want to go an invisible person.
That wasn't me. It was just quoting the New York Times.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. It's although it's maybe invisible, is real. It's real. It's authentic. It's pure. Like I can, like the best way I can tell you, I can feel it. Not. It's not based off of feeling, but a lot of times I can. When I start praying and talking to God, I actually feel His presence. You can't, for me, you can't argue, what I feel. And as I talk to God, I read His Word, and even when I'm talking, sometimes, and I share this a lot. If you sit quietly, you will hear Him talk back to you. Like it's just like me meeting with you, and I talk to you, and I do all the talking. And never make time to listen. Like, and then I get up and walk out. Like that's how some people pray.
You don't do that.
Like they'll get on their knees or whatever way they pray. They'll go through their list of things, thanks, supplication, requests, but then get up and say in Jesus' name, Amen, and walk off. Like when did you allow God to speak to you? Like it's not a monologue. It's like communication. You got to allow time for that.
Thank you for sharing that. Tell me something about your mentors. Obviously, your dad was an important one, but you define mentors at whatever stage, and how have them impacted Your life, your
Mentorship.
career decisions, yep.
Yeah, mentorship is everything. Has been like, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it weren't for the mentors in my life. I believe, looking at my own life and just how it works, I believe mentorship allows you to go further faster. Like you get to accelerate your growth because you got the experience of a mentor. You know what I'm saying? So it's like from a musician side. So I started playing at 13. By 17, I was playing professionally. Well, my mentor was exceptionally well. I was able to go get where I wanted to get kind of fast. Of course, I put in the work, but I got there fast. So that was very crucial. So my musical teacher was a great mentor, not just musically too. He actually helped me with my life too as well. But like the musician I am, the preacher I am, all of the communicator I am, the leader I am, and I would say probably he's one I know, but I'll tell you a mentor who has really shaped me, John Maxwell, by far. John Maxwell changed my life. He just changed my whole view on how I view life, how I view leadership, how I view faith. I've read so many of his books.
Maybe quickly describe John Maxwell, who he is, yes?
Yeah, he was a pastor for many years, led one of the top fastest growing churches back in the 70s and 80s, and then he left pastoring to empower and impact leaders, and he's doing it all over the world, literally. His leadership, his curriculums, his teaching, his books. He's like, and he's been voted many times as #1 leadership guru of the year by Inc. magazine. So yeah, he's a leadership guru.
I encourage you, everybody, just to look him up. You know, Tim Keller talks about him often. Used to talk about him often. In terms of a very impactful person.
Yeah, he really, like, especially when I made that shift, like around age 28. You know, they said I was going to do strictly Christian music and all like that. I was all of a sudden I started liking reading. And now, growing up, I was not academic. I didn't like to read like that. When I started reading John Maxwell, it was like I just kept picking it up, reading between John Maxwell and the Bible, probably the most read book ever.
Yeah. What I love about him is when many people talk about failure, this is 70% doesn't work, those poor individuals or poor communities. He thinks that's one way to be addressing it, I think. But he would also say, are you focusing on the 30%?
Yeah.
What makes it work, and can you replicate, can you inspire? So you're not only discussing the failure, but actually encouraging the others. You know, that's one of many things that I know that, you know, Mr. Maxwell has spoken about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's big on the failure thing.
Yeah.
He got Failing Forward, one of the books I think about. Yeah. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Yeah. You know, that's all about embracing failure.
I mean, talking about failures, again, this is one of the questions I wrote down, is that how do you see the connection between resilience, faith, and leadership?
Yeah, so I think there's a deeply, like resilience, faith, leadership are deeply intertwined. You know, when I think about resilience, I think about this resilience that it's my faith that causes my resilience to rise. You know, and then when you think about, you know, the power of leadership, you know, you get to help guide other people along that same path. Like, you know, you're talking about failure. You know, resilience is all about, you know, falling down and getting back up, you know, and faith give you that strength, you know, to keep getting back up, right? And so when I think about it, even in my own life, like the marathon, you know, you think about the marathon that we did, you know, it was met with challenges. You know, there were many times on the training, you know, I had injuries. There was some time I was not able to train, which made me doubt, will I even be able to finish this marathon, right? I had never ran one before, right? So it's like...
I apologize for asking you, encouraging you to do it.
So, man,
It was fun though, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. But I mean, the resilience is to keep showing up, right? Keep showing up. And there was many times I ran at the end of when I finished my race, I would pray. I would say, Lord, thank you for the legs and the lungs to do this run. You know, so
And also your congregation, they were there surprisingly at mile 16.
yeah, I didn't know they were coming. They were supposed to be at church. Sunday, I'm running a marathon on Sunday, so I just know they not finna miss church to come, you know, see they pastor run a marathon. But I was out there running again, and it got hard. I thought probably about mile 13, 14, it got really hard. I'm like, I'm halfway there, man. I got another half. Oh my God, you know. So I'm out there running, walking, and then all of a sudden I'm jogging, and I just hear people screaming, Pastor! I'm like, oh my God! I ran over there, hugged everybody. They gave me a big hug. Man, they carried me about the next 4 miles.
Then you had 6 to go.
I had 6 more to go. Yeah. So, but man, that was everything, right? You know what I'm saying? And so you talking about resilience, faith, leadership. Like I'm you know, people that just don't want to hear a lot. You know, they don't hear you talk a lot. They want to see it, right? People do what people see. Law of the picture, right? People do what people see. So modeling this resilience and faith is everything.
Even all the biblical heroes, with the exception of one, they all had lots of failures as well. But who are some of your favorite biblical heroes?
Man, Jesus is my number one. I can't go.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, I'm still blown away by Jesus. Jesus and what he did, you know, especially the cross, the sacrifice. I'm deeply connected to the blood that it was shed, the crown put on his head, piercing him in the side, marching him up Calvary Mountain. That whole thing is everything to me. Like if without Jesus, you know, like Jesus is the man. Like he's that guy to me. Like I have other ones, but by far, like any man that will, you know, Bible talks about greater love has no man than a man lay down his life. Like for me, sinful me, that really does something to me every time. I can't think about it too long without it really like impacting me, even emotionally, you know, that somebody really did that for me.
Yeah, you and David Dillon, this is a very similar answers to both of you guys.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't discuss this neither.
Yeah. What are some of the things you're struggling with now?
Man, one of the things I'm struggling with right now, to be honest, is I would say, so you know I'm a musician. So one of the things I'm struggling with is really letting it go. It's like, and putting 100% of my time into the ministry at the church and Stone CDC. So it's also, you know, I've been doing music for, you know, 35 years of my life. So when I think about it, I grieve it. Like, you know, I'm not saying I would never play again, but like I still like work as a musician. And so I've been thinking about this for about a year now, but it's real strong now. Like just, you know, trusting God and walking away from music and giving 100% of my time, my energy, all of that into the church and Stone CDC. Yeah. So that is, you know, you can imagine 35 years of work and then leaving that job that you've been doing 30, and you're good at it. It comes easy, it's natural, effortlessly, but then to go into this other phase and leave that alone, it's a very tough decision. But so that I'm struggling with that. That's one of my biggest struggles. And then I was saying, then the project, the Lori's project. You know, I'm a faith guy, but you know, God has brought us this far. I'm 100% confident that God is going to help us to finish this project that we're working on, that you know about. Fully confident in that God is aligning the right people, the right resources to bring us to the finish line. but that project is near and dear to my heart, and I struggle with certain parts of it.
A few questions. I mean, we have discussed them in our previous sessions, if you will, but I think ties to the whole concept of how you bring faith to work. And I said, obviously, you're a pastor, but also now you're CEO of a community development corporation. And how do you manage, again, your vocation as a pastor and, again, a chief executive of a not-for-profit development corporation that has all this massive objectives, if you will?
Yeah.
Takes lots of, at least on paper, business skills requirements along with your faith journeys. Anyway, I'd love for you to maybe explain how you're able to navigate those two items and maybe some of the hopes, including the relationship with Lori and the goals for that facility.
Yeah, so this project is like how we got here, not to take a lot of time, but so this is all faith, like, for real, like 100%. This is a God project. And so from the very beginning with the partnership with Lori's, after our first meeting, I made it clear that we was opening with prayer. Like, in some of these spaces, you have to be careful. But I set that tone in the very beginning. They respected my role, my calling, because for me, it's not faith at work is really not about a career, right? It's really a calling, and so I brought that into this space. And so faith this project was met with a lot of just challenges, especially in the very beginning of it, and had to, I kind of think about, when I think about this, I kind of relate it to what has been a big source of strength for me was the Nehemiah story. Nehemiah had the task of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, right? The city was ruined, the people were discouraged, they had opposition from all sides, internally, externally, all that whole story. But Nehemiah, the first thing he did, he prayed, right? He relied on God, he sought God, repented for the bad half of the people. So I found myself using that model and how he dealt with the largeness of this impossible task and the challenges. He used his faith in there. Same way we were met with many challenges and many doubts, even if this project could even happen. And it was the faith that fortified that to get us as far as we got in this project. So faith has been the fortified for this and give us the strength and the courage to pursue this arduous task and bringing the right people. Like, Davis Dillon's here. He's been a part of this process with us. Like having, other godly counsel, like, godly wisdom to kind of help us, guide us, lead us, that has been a major part of it too. Like,
and just a quick comment for the audience, both here and the virtual one. This is a massive, massive effort. Lori's Children's Hospital and both Robin and Mimi and so many people are involved with the hospital, but it is it's an Austin Community Health Hub. It's 24,500 square foot facility. Again, they offer clinical care, mental health support, youth programs, and economic opportunities. In Austin, it's arguably one of the most challenged communities in the state, whether it's education, poverty, crime. And many of the residents there would not have the means to go to city. Again, we're one of the best hospitals in the world.
Yeah.
So how do you actually bring those capabilities and services right to the community? And Pastor Jenkins and many others have played such an instrumental part. So anyway, thank you for that.
Yeah.
What is the latest plans for opening? Is it 2026? Six, yeah.
Yeah, so we plan to actually be putting shovels in the ground as soon as this weather break, this Chicago weather break, maybe April, early April. As soon as that break, we're ready. I think we're like in the final steps of getting our permits to actually start the work. So we're really excited.
Yeah, I encourage all of you just to look at the websites, both at the church, at the Community Development Corporation, but also at Lurie's Hospital. Again, this is a massive, massive undertaking, a real commitment to the city. Maybe even more broad. Again, I love your concept, including from Pastor Maxwell. Better is always possible. There's so many issues in this country.
Yeah.
Whether that's racial divides, whether it's poverty, education, the divides, and obviously Austin needs a wonderful opportunity to demonstrate what's possible. But how do you think about it as a pastor, as an executive, in any personal perspectives and any advice for the audience as to not only to understand, but maybe to do their part to drive, as you said, better is always possible. How do we do more of that?
Yeah, so I always, you hear, I don't forget who made the quote, but, a lot of people want to see the world change and want to change. And I believe, change starts with the individual. Yeah. So it's always about, for me, starting with me, personal growth. When I talk about better, people want a better world without a better you. You can't be a better world without a better you. And so it starts with my own personal growth. So I always challenge, people I connect with and, is to, number one, work on, personal development. You can't give what you ain't got, right? So starting, for me, that's where it starts at. It's got to start with you. Like we can't be trying to go out and make the community better, and we have to model certain values ourselves, like integrity, character, all of the things that we all know. These are things these value sets that I believe must be modeled, exemplified by us first. So that's my challenge. Looking at myself every the end of the year, December, I do deep reflection. Like I take my whole calendar, look at from January to December, and I evaluate, what went well, what didn't go well, what I need to start doing, what I need to stop doing. The whole process of looking at where I need to put my time at, where I need to grow at. Did I put too much time in work and not enough with family? Did I, just really putting that time in so that I can bring a better me. That's what it's about, bringing a better me to 2025. And so that's actually our theme for 2025. Better, our one word. I read the book, your one word, pick one word, kind of focus on that and build everything around that.
Who is we? Your corporation, the parishioners? How do you bring more supporters?
So for my church, that's our one word. We've been doing this for about 4 years since I read the book. We picked one word last year. Our one word was intentional. Year before that, so like my church, I do a big vision casting for the year, and I reveal our one word and where we're gonna focus on. So so I do it with the church, and I did it with Stone CDC. At the end of the year, we had our little Christmas, a little event where we get together and just have fellowship. Then I announce what our word gonna be for the year. So yeah, it works really well too.
What gives you encouragement, the most encouragement from what you've seen over the last couple of years? And what still frustrates you?
What gives me the most encouragement? Man, I'm encouraged about what's happening in Austin right now. It's a lot of good things. People talk about, all the disparities of Austin and in our community. You don't hear about all of the great things that's coming in Austin, that's happening right now. Not only I'm grateful to be a part of what's happening. We're doing great work, but there are other organizations that are doing great transformative work in Austin. Because for me, I grew up West Side, and it looked, from my perspective, it looked like other communities had more resources, were doing more development and all like that. And Austin is why we seem last. Now I'm not feeling that no more. I've been in Austin all my life, so I'm not feeling like we're last no more. It's man, it's about 6 or 7 other projects that are just as transformative as than the one we're doing that's coming there. That excites me. Like, yeah, finally, we're getting resources, so that excites me.
Awesome to hear. I mean, keep driving. There's nothing like momentum.
Yeah, I feel it
Once
too.
you start getting momentum, and I know Chicago together with, what I hear about number of communities, so really, really, really encouraging.
Yeah.
With so many other questions, I'll probably ask just a couple more and then encourage the audience here this morning, and I'll see if there's anything on the website. But what's your favorite free time activity, if you have any time for free time?
Favorite free time activity, basketball.
Is it?
Yes.
Ah,
It takes my mind off. When I'm playing, I'm very competitive, so
no.
when I play basketball, I don't get a chance to do it as much, but it is definitely hands down my favorite. I feel like if I wouldn't have been a professional musician, I would have been a professional basketball player. I chose
Wow.
music. I chose music. In high school, I made that choice. It's like I was playing at the church. I was like young, playing at the church, and I was on the basketball team. So the music was suffering though. I was trying to do both. I had to go to school, then I had to have basketball practice, then I would have to come to church and do choir rehearsal. I didn't have much time to practice on music. So I would be messing up, I wasn't good, choir would be suffering. Then I made a choice that it's gonna have to be music or basketball. And I said, music. I felt like it was so competitive in basketball as everybody wanna play ball. I feel like I had a better chance at music, and I chose music.
Thank you. Well, you're very talented, and obviously you've chosen well. Any questions from the group?
Quick one, Pastor Jenkins, you described your journey as a youth and how you evolved. How are you seeing today's youth? How are you seeing the folks and the journeys that the young people today are facing?
Yeah.
Great question.
Now, that's a great question. Let me say, I'll be honest with you, it does break my heart when I see the youth now. It breaks my heart. Like, you was talking about frustrating, because of what I see in today's youth is unfortunately, they don't have the same reverence and respect for God like in my generation. Like, just something as simple as when you walk, like when I grew up, if you walk by the church, you probably take your hat off. If you're cussing and doing that, you'll stop that. Nowadays, that fear of God is not there for them. That breaks my heart, and that breaks my heart. Even with people that weren't as churchy as I was, the respect was there. You get what I'm saying? I don't see that among youth. I don't see that. That's heartbreaking. I know as kids we had Sunday school, we had a lot of stuff like that, and of course parents, everything is different now. But yeah, not to go off too far. That's what breaks my heart.
Well, what I would just make a comment on that one, there's been so much comments on Bible studies, fellowship for Christian athletes. I mean, this is just the opposite discussion, what's been going on even in universities as well. So really would encourage you to think on that one even more, the possibilities, because young people need something.
Yeah.
There's so many great examples of, and again, I would even simply add that the local high schools, and even just to see, are there some programs that can actually provide another inspirational opportunities for young people, and not necessarily only through church. Obviously, church is very important. Saying with just a comment and observation, because without that, the progress in theory would not nearly be as significant as it could be.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Thank you. Yeah.
So I was going to comment that I've been really fortunate, and I think Mimi too, to visit Lively Stone Baptist Church and do some work there. It's in an auditorium in Austin, so it's not it's a lovely space, but certainly not a church as we typically think of. But I would say, and now it sounds like I'm contradicting Mike a little bit, one of the things I've been so impressed with, and particularly during COVID, but some of the youth programs that you run, and particularly for some of the young men who seem to be they have tough choices, and they often don't have the role models and the mentors. And so I just want to compliment you on that work, and I love the partnership that Lurie Children's has created through the Pat Magoon Institute for Healthy Communities. And I think that's just led to so many great things happening.
Yes.
And just proud of that. And I think you should be very proud of these programs that you do offer, because we've heard some of your speakers, and I'm forgetting her name, but she's awesome.
Aisha?
Yeah,
She's
amazing.
terrific,
So a compliment to you for that, because you're doing one person at a time. So
That's right.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mimi, number 3 today.
Here we go. I loved, Mike, that you reminded us that his mantra is blessed is always possible. And first I want to ask you, what's your word of the year this year?
Better.
Better. Oh, yes, I like that. My question to you is that in your personal life, in your personal journey, you have 3 daughters. I was interested 30s, 20s, and a teenager. God bless you. I know that's a challenge. How are you pastoring and parenting your children?
Good question. Family is first for me. My church knows this. I made this very clear when I started pastoring. They know about my daughters and my family values, and they are very, very in agreement with my values concerning family, which is great. So I'm able to pastor my church because my family understand my role to pastoring, just as well as the church understand my role to being at home. So I never miss, like, all of my daughter's recitals. Like, she's the dance. My daughter Taylor was the singing in her years. I'm unless I was out of town, which was very rare, like during their infant years, I miss nothing. Like that, I pride myself on that. I pride myself on being present. I pick them up when I'm not traveling. I take them to school every day. Even right now, my daughter, I got her Uber today to get here. But other than that, I take her to school every day and I pick her up. Because that's my time with her. That's our time to talk. I don't talk on the phone while we're driving. These are things that how I really am. And my daughter look forward to, my 16-year-old now. Yeah, so our whole ride, we're talking, connecting, all like that back home, like that. So family understand my role to the church. Church understand my role to my family.
How about your kids' faith journeys? I mean, you said your dad was both by doing it and also being very direct in his comments. How are you influencing their faith journeys? Are you as direct as your father was with you, or are you much more letting them find their own ways?
I'm much more passive, let me say that. Dad was very aggressive. That's just his style.
Yeah.
Not knocking it. I probably needed all of that. so I'm not knocking that, but yeah, I'm very passive. They all are, thank God, I'm grateful. They all are believers in Jesus. Even the 31-year-old is married, she's married, lives in Naperville, but they are believers in Jesus, so I am grateful for that, all 3 of them.
Wonderful. I have an email from one of the people in our Young Pups Bible study. He said he came to at least 2, maybe he came 3 times, 6:15 on Thursday mornings, and he was just wondering what your impression was of our Bible study group here.
Our Bible study group here, Young Pups, it's amazing. I enjoy it. Like to see these men here sharing their faith and sharing their story, it's it's a great group to be. If it wasn't so far, I would probably come more often. But
You're welcome anytime.
yeah, I will come more often. But I think it's great. I think it's needed. I think it's needed. I think every man need a group like Young Pups. I think every man need a group like Young Pups. If it's not at Young Pups, find some type of men's group where you can have fellowship or authentic. It was just, yeah, it's a great atmosphere. I came 3 times.
Yeah. You were a wonderful gift every time you came. You made us better, to use your word. And we typically do not promote future sessions, but the May session of Faith at Work, actually we have 3 representative members of Young Pups to go through this discussion. Not as much personal, but also the evolution of Young Pups since starting in 2002 to today. So anyway, so that's going to be there'll be our May Faith at Work session. So we'll invite you, hopefully you'll join us.
Okay.
Any other questions from the group? Yeah, Rick?
You've talked a fair bit about the young people and stuff like. I don't mean it quite that way, stuff like that, but that seems to me, listening to you, that the young people are a focal point for your ministry, and I'm feeling like young people aren't the only people that really need some ministry. Well, excuse my politics in this environment, and I'm wondering what you think or what your strategy would be to do something about what's going on outside of, your young people. What do guys like me need more?
I'm sorry. Did you hear him, Father? Can you help me out with what he said?
What do guys like him need? Need more people outside of youth, other groups, someone like Rick.
In the comments was lots of focus on young people. Many others, us very specifically included, needs also support to be quote unquote better.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yes. Like older men, like I don't know if if y'all saw the movie The Forge.
No.
It's a good movie, The Forge, about mentorship. It's a good movie. You would enjoy it.
Yep.
But how an older man just took one young man and he discipled him. Basically, that's what he did. He discipled him. It's a great story. I think if men like yourself, other men took that type of responsibility, to mentor at least one person outside of, that's not in your network. I ain't talking about like your son. That's our calling to be a steward over our kids and all like that. I'm talking about somebody that's not, within your family. Although there's value there too, but yeah, I think growing up, it was way more of that going on. Growing up, you don't see that often. Like what you just talking about, like with programs, like in certain schools and stuff like that, seeing that thing. I think that's huge and could bring about a major transformation among our young men and ladies if they had that type of mentorship.
Yeah, I cannot agree with you more. As you know, I'm finishing this 3-year program, and the whole concept called Spiritual Leadership Institute for people who have the confidence to be able to open to speak of their faith. And although you may not be always certain what you need to say, have confidence in the Holy Spirit is going to help you with the right comments. And young people are very much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So it's coming to close to 9 o'clock. Let's give Father Jenkins much appreciation. We love you. Thank you for coming. We always finish with the Father's Prayer, so if you don't mind, join us. And Father Lucas is going to start us. All right? Yep.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
Amen.
Thank you, man, for having me.
Thanks for coming this morning, everybody.